Hello, happiness abounder, and welcome back. As we continue our discussion about money and happiness, I want to dive further into what I mentioned yesterday about the story you have around money. I hope that you've spent a little bit of time after listening to yesterday's episode thinking about what you really think about money. Do you think it's the root of all evil? Do you think it doesn't buy happiness? Do you think that people who have money are evil or are bad? Do you have good thoughts about money? What is the story you have around money? It could be something as simple as you had an allowance as a kid and you saved up your money to buy something you really wanted. And then a friend or maybe even a parent said that spending your money on that particular item that you'd been saving for was a waste. So maybe in your brain you went, saving money's a waste. Or spending money, here's another component of this, spending money on things I want that maybe other people don't understand or wouldn't want. If I spend money on things that I want, I'm wasting it. Ooh, right? Think about that for a second. I can tell you how many times as like a little kid, you save up your money and you want to buy something that's totally like, to an adult, really lame and a waste of money. And out of the best of intentions, people that we love and respect will be like, no, don't spend your money on that. Like, put it into something useful, put it into something good. But then you feel like this was useful, it was good, it was something I really wanted. And then for the rest of forever, you struggle with this mindset and this story of spending money on things that you want that maybe other people don't see value in is a waste of money. It's really interesting, actually. So I just spent some money on something that feels completely like frivolous and unimportant and could be kind of a waste in other people's eyes. I spent about $200 on these, they're like wind chimes, but there's 4 of them and they're made out of this bamboo and they each have like a tone that represents the 4 elements of the earth. And I love the sound that these make. They remind me of childhood music boxes. They make me really happy. I feel like they're connected to the earth. Like there's all these components that I really wanted these wind chimes. And I saved up and then I was like, should I spend the money on this? I'm sure there's other things I could spend the money on that would be a lot more useful. But here's the beautiful thing. When you are out of debt, and you have that comfort and you can spend some money on yourself, which is something we'll talk about later in this theme week as well. But when you can spend some money on yourself, it's what you want it to be. And you have the flexibility to not have to think, well, maybe I should get something else, right? The practical side, you should cultivate, right? But if you have that extra space, you can get things to enjoy for the sake of enjoyment, things for you. Now, if you have the mindset after you have that space to buy things for you and you're like, I shouldn't do this because it's not worth it, or it's a waste of money, or I shouldn't get it because it's something I want and I could spend this money on something for the kids or for the house. Think about that mindset. Think about where you may have gotten that story around spending money. Now there's another option here. What if when you were a child, you saved up your money and you bought something you were really excited for and it happened to be cheap and it broke? Did you subconsciously take on a story about spending a lot of money doesn't equate to anything and it's just a waste of money? Or so story's possibility within this is you shouldn't spend money on yourself. Saving up money to spend it on yourself is selfish, right? You could be doing so many other things with it. Spending money on things that broke are that you wasted your money. And all of those are stories around not being good with money, not trusting yourself with money. And here you have a story surrounding money that doesn't give it any of the positivity or flexibility that it could really have. I mean, let's face it. If you want to buy something. And if it breaks, then it broke. That's it. Then you know next time you're going to do consumer reviews, you're going to do reports, you're going to like look at all of these things and make a more informed decision on how to better spend your money. You're going to be a good steward of your money versus telling yourself that you made a poor decision and that now you're not worthy of being a steward of your money. Or you should have spent it on something else because now this broke and that's just karma. No. It's just another opportunity to learn and step into being a better steward of your money. So that said, I want you to think about what stories you have around money. Granted, I don't think that you will find them all in 5 minutes. I know that I have done a lot of deep work on this and I still haven't found them all. But think about those core things. Was there a situation in your childhood where you spent money that you had saved up and it didn't work out, or someone told you that was the wrong way to go about it? Are there spending habits that you've seen? Maybe your parents fought about money when you were a child and you connected that my parents are unhappy and mad at each other because of money. Money is bad. I don't want money because that'll ruin my relationships. There are components in all of this. So think about what stories you have around money. And then I want to encourage us to rewrite that story. I want you to rewrite it in 2 ways. 1, down a piece of paper, draw a line, and on one side, column A, write the ways that this mindset that you have around money, whatever it is, if it's a negative mindset, right? We're trying to change it to positive. The ways that has served you. And then on the other side, write the ways that mindset is holding you back. Then you can make a decision. Is that mindset serving you and it's actually positive? Or is it holding you back from your bigger goals and dreams? Just being able to see that and have it written out is going to start to rewrite that story in your brain. Then the second part of it is actually write a story about money. Write a story about how money is a conduit for good in your life, how you are a good steward of money, how you make smart investments and purchases, how you are worthy and deserving of things for you. Rewrite that story of what money can do for you and how it can be a conduit for positivity and good versus whatever the mental story, subconscious story you have around money has been for however long it's been. Be aware of those stories and then rewrite them. Essentially, it's a pros and a cons list, but how is that has been serving you? How is it holding you back? And if it's holding you back, let's rewrite that story so we can change that mindset and really start to progress and move forward in our money and our happiness goals. So I'm going to leave you with that today. I hope that this helped. I hope that this episode resonates with you, and maybe you have a story that granted, I glanced over a couple of mindset possibilities, but I would love to hear it if you have a story of how your money mindset has been shaped and what you're doing to adjust it. And if you did this exercise, if you did the serving and how it's hindering you, and if you rewrote the story, I'd love to know how that has continued to serve you or what you thought while you did the exercise. So you can find me at happinessabound.com, Happiness Abound blog on Facebook, happiness_abound on Instagram, and there's a Twitter and a YouTube and a couple of other things thrown in there as well. But if you search Happiness Abound online, then you will be sure to find me. I'm sure of it. So that said, I'd love to hear from you. Love to know your thoughts on this episode. And if this episode or the podcast in general has helped you in the past, you could repay that by paying it forward and helping others find the podcast as well by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or on Facebook. Apple Podcasts, you search Happiness Abound, and there's a section to leave a 5-star review and a written review as well. And same thing by going to Happiness Abound blog on Facebook. There's a section to write a review and leave 5 stars. So you can pay it forward by leaving reviews. You help other people find the show and join our community of Happiness Abounders. So again, that said, I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'd love to hear how you rewrite your money story, and if you had a money story you weren't aware you had until this point. And above everything else, remember, you are capable of happiness abound.